Welcome to the V Spot. I'm Vicky.
And I'm Velvet.
And how are you?
I'm good.
You good?
Yeah.
Feeling good?
I'm good today. Like, I'm ready to go.
I can tell. Your energy is like
Top notch.
top notch. Yeah.
Every once in a while.
We kind of came into this one today knowing it would be a little bit more Velvet focused. How do you feel about that?
Not amazing, but I still got the energy, so we're good.
It'll be me too, I feel, but it's going to be, I think, primarily you. Do you like talking about yourself?
I love talking about
seriously.
myself. I don't mind.
Really?
It's not about talking about myself. I like sharing experiences.
Right.
I like that. I like communicating with people. Like
Right.
I like
Yeah,
learning.
yeah.
I like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily talking about myself. When I think of someone talking about themselves, it's more like, well, I did this and now I like to share. I'm a sharer.
Yeah, you are a sharer.
I am. Yeah.
Like doing this with you has made me realize that it's not intuitive for me to share.
That's interesting, actually.
Yeah, like it takes a bit to pull things out of me. I'm super comfortable with you.
Yeah.
And I volunteer a lot.
Yeah.
But I think you and maybe one or two other people I don't have a lot of people in my life that I just kind of volunteer things with.
And I feel like I volunteer to anyone that wants to listen to it, if that makes sense. Like, not like I'm just walking around talking about it. It's like if I'm in any type of conversation with someone, whether I met you an hour ago or 10 years ago, I will share my experiences with you.
Yeah. You connect with people fast.
I don't have a lot of, I was going to say shame. That's not the word at all I was looking for. I don't have a lot of, I don't know. I'm just not scared to share.
Right.
I don't worry about people's judgments on it or anything like that. Like, I don't care. I'd rather share. I feel like it's helpful.
That's why people share with you so quickly, though. They pick that up.
Yeah.
Like, you're very open book.
I don't just listen. I'll give my 2 cents or my experiences.
I think I have a tendency to, because I'm genuinely curious about people. Like,
sure.
I love to get to know people, and I want to see your family photos.
Right.
I want to see you when you're 4. I want to know about your brother and your sister. Like, I'm so curious about people.
But you're more to ask than to share. Yeah.
And I think it comes off a little bit like I'm being nosy or just interviewing people.
Right.
And I didn't realize that about myself because I just assumed, of course, I'm not nosy. I'm curious.
You're interested in people.
Yeah. But if that's all I'm doing,
right,
then it comes off
across,
like, what about this? What about that? Like a little,
right.
And some people are just naturally private, right? They don't want to talk about their grandma, where their grandma grew up. Or I'm asking you, where'd your grandma grow up? Because I want to know where
why'd you care?
I want to know why you're like, if you show me your vacation photos, I want to see every single photo. I want to know what you did.
Don't
where
do
you
this.
Went.
No,
nope.
Let's slowly go
Let's
through
talk
it.
about it.
I'm going to zoom in on a couple of them.
What did you have for dinner that night?
Yeah, look at the guy in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, was he your friend?
Yeah, are you with that guy?
Are you with that guy?
Why is he smiling for the camera as well? Yeah.
Did you know he was smiling for the camera?
Why is he holding your kid?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you know he was holding your kid?
Yeah, exactly.
Awkward.
I want to know everything.
Yeah.
And maybe that is nosy. I don't know. Is that nosy?
No. Seeking knowledge isn't nosy. Nosy is when you're wanting to know it for reasons of...
that's how I feel.
Like...
Personal gain.
Yes.
Like you get off on the information, or you want it to share with others.
I was going to say, or you like to share it with other people. You just like to have people's dirt.
Yeah.
It's not for just for the conversation. It's because you like to have their crap, and you can pull that out whenever you need to.
I noticed the only person that like so I've been called out on this a little bit more in the last like 5 or 6 years. How I'm very slow to talk about myself. Like I don't volunteer.
Right.
Like, oh, this week has been hard. I've been doing this and that or whatever. I was with my aunt, and she's very much like me in personality, and she keeps it about me, I find.
Interesting.
Yeah. So it forces me to like just talk about myself. And it actually it's nice.
Yeah.
Like it was great to be in a scenario where I'm just talking about me mostly, and she's curious about my life, and it didn't feel bad at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just hard for me to kind of
get there.
Yeah.
And just some people just don't naturally do it.
No, and I don't for sure.
No.
Anyways, I'm gonna take a drink. So we haven't actually talked about this too much, I don't feel. What you kind of went through, how like last year and a half.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
The hardest time of my life. And I feel
It
like
really,
and I've gone through a lot of hard times, like emotionally or whatever,
Yeah.
but by far, the last year and a half to almost 2 years now, where it's getting better.
Has
It's
it been
definitely getting
2
better.
years? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because she graduated almost
Right.
2 years ago now. So, it's gotten better, but it was a slow go, and certain things kind of like rear up
Right,
again.
right.
I'm dealing with it again, and then it will go. I don't get over things as easily as I used to, I feel. So
Okay, so what? Now I am going to interview.
yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So what were you feeling great up until a specific thing happened, or do you feel like you were on a bit of an emotional decline already? And we will talk about what happened.
Yeah. I don't, not that I recognize.
Right.
I don't feel like I was on a decline.
Okay, so what was the first moment where you felt like oh my gosh, I'm not okay? Like, what was that trigger?
I think towards the end of COVID, where everybody kind of like dealt with the same type of thing, I think I was just starting to go a little stir crazy, but at the same time, getting way too comfortable with not seeing people. And I'm definitely
Right.
a people person, and like one of my love languages is quality time.
Right.
So I was fine not being with people, which I think was the first thing, right? And then my oldest graduated, and I was always expecting it to be my youngest, where I would be like, I'd have a hard time because
Right.
I like mocked those moms that are all like,
Right.
get so emotional.
Right.
Like, I'm sorry, grade 6 graduation is
Get
not a
over
big
it.
deal. Like,
Yeah.
let's get
Baby's
on with
growing
life.
up.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So the thought of me ever having any type of emotional reaction to my daughter graduating caught me completely off guard, to the point where I was like paralyzed with anxiety. Like, I was down to 108 pounds. Like, I lost a ton of weight. I
Like, couldn't eat.
couldn't eat. I couldn't do anything. Like, I'd go to the grocery store, and all of a sudden I would just get hit with anxiety. I'd always had to bring Kyle with me, and I was literally like, I'd be in the cereal aisle, and he's just kind of like has me to the side, and I'd be weeping. Like, I was like full on a mess. And that was when I was actually trying to get out again. Like, for a long time I didn't even leave the house.
So she had graduated at that point. Was it like you woke up the day she graduated and it hit you like a ton of bricks?
No,
or
well,
was it like a slow build?
They didn't have that
They
typical
didn't,
thing,
no.
right? So they graduated over COVID. Everything was online. Like, their commencement, we didn't sit there for commencement. It was all videotaped earlier, like months
Right.
before, right? It was all very anticlimactic for us, for them, for everything. No, I think it hit me more probably in September, when my life was so wrapped up in hers, because she was the dancer, actor. There was so much time spent on the road and driving to auditions,
Right.
and just even to and from dance class and all that type of thing. So I went from it being my life essentially to nothing. And I had a realization late summer-ish, where all of a sudden I was like, oh my gosh, this child that I've had for 18 years, who is, I mean, as all my children are, like, that's my life, is my
Right.
kids. And now I have one of them who I have absolutely no control over anymore. And she still lives at home and like that
Right.
type of thing, but it was just a weird moment for me to think, like, I've had this child, like, she's been my responsibility for
Right.
18 years, and all of a sudden she's just not mine.
Right.
If she decided to move out and across the world
Right.
tomorrow, she can do that, and I have no say over it. And it was such a lonely feeling for me.
Yeah.
And I didn't deal with it well.
So what did that like feel or look like? When you say anxiety, like what do you mean? Like did you feel physically anxious, or was it more of a sadness?
Both. I was sad. I was anxious. I was in bed a lot.
Right. And
Yeah.
then when you were in bed, like what was going on? Like were you just sleeping or?
A lot of sleeping. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It manifested itself like so strong in my life. Like, not just, there's nothing I could do about it. And I already take something for like mood, that type of
Yeah.
thing. I started taking like 6-7 years ago. It wouldn't even matter. Like, it wasn't even like,
It wasn't touching it.
no, because it was different. It wasn't the same as like just
Day-to-day
equalizing
mood-
my
mood
my
stabilization.
emotions. It was like just riddled with this anxiety. And now it's been almost 2 years, and I feel like I'm kind of now starting to come
Right.
out of it. But like last year, thank goodness a little husband brag. I have an amazing husband, and he allowed me just to like essentially run away last year. Like I
Yeah.
traveled on my own, not on my own, with somebody else, but not with
With
a
the
family
family.
member necessarily. I was gone 9 times last year. A couple of times I was with Kyle, and once was a family vacation, but the rest was me and a friend or
Right.
whatever, right? So I needed to escape. Like I needed to just get away. I think that's what helped a lot. Because when I am somewhere else, it's like I'm not consumed
Right.
by everything because I'm not faced with it, right?
Do you remember what was like going on in your head? Like when your head was spinning, like what were you like scared about things?
Fear. Everything's always
was
fear.
fear.
Very much fear. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Fear that I didn't do a good enough job.
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear that I haven't taught her enough
Yeah.
to get through in life. I felt like I at that age was just more
Yeah.
well equipped, ready to carry on with life.
It feels like you've run out of time.
That's exactly
Yeah.
it. I felt like I ran out of time. Even again, she lives here still. It's not like my
Yeah.
interactions with her are now gone or whatever, right? But so it's been getting better, but now I've started it feeling coming on again. But McKenna's graduating in a couple of months.
Oh.
And I didn't put 2 and 2 together until a couple of weeks ago. I'm like, oh, now it's a thing.
Do you think that McKenna graduating is just triggering you from when it first happened, or do you think
possible.
you are going to go through it again with her a little bit?
I mean, I can see it this time, so hopefully I don't go through it because I actually am
Yeah.
aware. Last time it just hit me.
Didn't know it was coming.
Wouldn't have considered myself an anxious person. I definitely had anxiety, but I would not where it would manifest to like physical, to like
Right.
zero appetite or to just can't stop crying or like
Right,
that type of thing.
yeah.
I always kind of just dealt with it. And this was the first time I couldn't deal with it. Like it took over my life.
How long do you think you were like, because I know like the grocery store times where you just couldn't pull yourself together. Like how long was it like really bad for?
Really bad?
Like the worst of the worst, or did it kind of like peak and valley?
No, it was just bad for a while.
Like how long?
I want to say like 9 months probably.
Where you just couldn't pull yourself together, like crying all the time.
Yeah. 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 It was,
Yeah.
and never spoke to anyone about it either.
I know
right?
you didn't. You
No,
definitely
I
didn't.
I dealt with it by myself because I felt so ridiculous.
You disappeared for sure.
Mm-hmm.
And it was one of those things that I kind of knew what you were going through, but
Because you were going through it as your daughter also was
yeah,
graduating.
I didn't.
Right.
It didn't hit me the way it hit you.
No.
Like I for sure had some moments, but it didn't trigger any kind of anxious reaction in
Yeah.
me. Maybe a little bit of sadness.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah. I feel like that's natural, right? Like,
yeah. It didn't. It definitely didn't. I don't think it triggered like any kind of anxious reaction, though. I'm just wondering. Do you think it was more severe with you because of a combination of what was going on in your life at the time? So like there was the COVID thing. Your life was so intertwined. Like my life wasn't as intertwined with my
No,
daughter
definitely
as
not.
yours. But so you lost your world, really.
essentially, yeah.
Like what you did, most of what you thought about all the time, what you're
Right.
dealing with all the time.
it was very much a moment of what now?
What now? Yeah.
So I've been a mom for this long now.
Yeah.
That again has been my whole world.
Yeah.
I didn't have a job outside the house. We have the photography business, but like outside of that, I don't, it doesn't take up a ton of my time. So yeah, my life was my kids, right? So to have like a third of the pie now kind of just like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just very empty, very lonely.
Did she know that you were?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. But I never wanted to make her feel like it was her
It's her- of
fault.
course not,
Yeah.
no.
No, because it wasn't. It was my thing to deal with.
Right.
But
And you were like embarrassed about it.
because it's embarrassing.
Did you ever consider?
It's actually not. I should say it's not embarrassing. It felt embarrassing. I don't want to put
no,
that
it's,
on
it's
it.
not embarrassing,
No.
and it's not shameful.
No.
No, absolutely not. Did you ever consider going to therapy? Because that probably would have helped a lot, like talking that out,
I would consider going now. At the time, it would have been pointless.
because you weren't
just
even
wasn't
aware of your
there.
own moment of your
No.
own.
I mean, I was aware, but like, it literally like ruled my life. Kyle took me to okay, so she would have had just graduated because it would have been my birthday in July, and we were in Vancouver. He took me to Vancouver for the weekend, and I looking back, I feel like I was just like a shell of myself.
Right.
Like we were eating breakfast or whatever the one day, and I broke down during breakfast, just like even
Right.
thinking or talking about it. Like I just went through a moment of what now? Like that's what my big thing is. What my purpose is now. What?
Right.
Like I'm not a doctor. I'm not a nurse. You know what I mean? I don't have
Right,
like
yeah.
a full
Yeah.
on like job. So
Right.
even though this was my job.
Yeah.
My identity was just so wrapped up in my kids, I guess, which is weird because I would have never pegged myself as that mom,
yeah.
right? Like I would never, my kids aren't my life, but they totally still are,
Yeah.
very much. Yeah.
I think it's especially since you feel like you didn't have a job per se. You didn't have relationships outside of like a lot of our friendships, and mine too, were built around the school moms, or like
it was
with
circumstantial.
you it was the dance moms,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah.
Like it became your actual world.
Totally.
Do you think any of it was grief?
Sure.
Right?
Sure. Probably.
This is a huge loss.
Yeah.
And everything stopped so rapidly.
Yeah.
Like you didn't get like that final, I don't know if it would have made it any better.
There's no closure on anything.
There's
it
no
felt. There's even
closure.
like the year-end show, Brooklyn's last
Yeah.
show was all we watched from home.
I know.
They were there dancing. We watched from home because you couldn't have an audience
You
for
didn't
anything,
get that
right?
nice, slow.
There's no closure.
Like, yeah, like that nice. Okay, this is over, and they.
Which in some ways I think should have been better because there was no definitive like done. But turns out it wasn't better.
Right. Would you like, knowing what you went through? Would you have done anything differently? You think with her, like not.
I think in hindsight, I wish I would have put myself first a lot more in my
Yeah.
life than I have.
Yeah.
Like I said, my identity, my everything is wrapped up in my family. Like it's
Right.
like, who am I now? Now I'm
Right.
40 something and like what?
Right.
It's very much just like, even still, I sometimes feel like that.
Right. Which I don't think is an uncommon.
Totally. But I also feel like when people actually have something they're passionate about or a job they're passionate about, right? They
Yeah.
bury themselves in that as opposed
Yeah.
to laying in bed.
I think as moms, it's really hard to, the second you have kids, they just become your job is nothing. Like, it becomes your children.
But for everyone, I don't think that's how it is for. I know that's not how it is for everybody because I have had people in my life where that was not the case at all, and not even like they had like high profile jobs or
Right.
anything like that. They just had like a regular 9-to-5 job or whatever. They were not intertwined with their kids' lives
I just,
the same.
if you were a nurse or a doctor or whatever, I just don't know if anything would have been different for you.
I don't know either.
If that's
But
just who
maybe.
you are as a person, to really like
Right.
throw yourself into what your kids are doing, or
Yeah. It's definitely more of just like a what now feeling.
yeah. Do you
Yeah.
still have the what now feeling?
For sure.
You do.
Yeah. Because what now?
Right.
But I mean, I have to figure that out. I mean, there's this, which has been amazing and
Yeah.
therapeutic and
Totally.
right. Like just getting to, I mean, who doesn't want to sit down with their best friend and talk for a couple hours? Like
Yeah.
it's been great.
We would do it anyway, so we might as
Exactly.
well let everybody else listen in on it, apparently.
Well, and I think so many people suffer in silence. I didn't
Yeah.
even talk to you about it, right?
No, you didn't. No.
I barely talked to Kyle about it. He just was seeing
He was witnessing
the
it,
effects of
though.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
but I wasn't necessarily sharing.
Do you wish that I would have checked in more? No.
It wouldn't have mattered.
Right.
Some people that would matter for sure. That's just
Yeah.
not my personality.
It's not.
No, I'm a suffer in silence
You
type
are.
of girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I need to figure it out for myself.
Yeah.
If someone's telling me, it's not going to happen.
Yeah, that was one of those things, not to make it about me, as a friend, and if you have a friend going through it, it is hard, because it's hard not to, like, I knew you were going through it. I knew that checking in, I would have gotten very dismissive.
I'm like, I'm good. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. It also, though, you disappeared. Like, I didn't have you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you just went off. And I knew you were going through it. It takes everything in me not to
reach out.
like to chase that. Like,
Right.
what's
Yeah.
going on?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, for a second, I'm like, is this about me? Like, she's
Right.
just so removed, like, so, and I know logically it was. I knew you were going through it.
I went through that with a lot of people though. Like I had a
Yeah.
lot of people in my life who I know think I've abandoned or just
Yeah.
stopped talking to. I'm like, dude, it's not. And I will, no one said that to me, but I know that's the feeling. And so I'm very quick to be like, P.S. I don't see anyone. I don't leave my house.
Yeah,
I don't talk
yeah.
to anyone. Like it's not
It's not
just
personal.
you. It's
Yeah.
everybody. It was not, no one was singled out. It was just me.
Was there a moment where you felt yourself coming out of it? Like, was there a certain, like, did something lift in your mind, or?
I had like before Christmas, I had like right before Christmas, I had a bit of an epiphany and I don't even know what brought it on, but and as cliche as it sounds, I felt like I had to choose joy. I had to choose
Right.
to be happy, which is not
Yeah.
at all in my
That's not something I'd never hear you
personality.
say.
Exactly. That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying. Like that's not who I am. I had to be mindful of it. I had to choose to have a better outlook because
Right.
it just wasn't working. And it was relating not just into like the fact that I'm not even talking to my friends anymore, but I also I had crap relationships with the people in my family, right?
Yeah.
Like I fought all the time. I just wasn't the person I used to be, right? So
Right.
it just wasn't good all the way around. So I knew just to even fix what was happening at home, I needed to look at things differently. I had to, whatever that meant. I'm such a person about being authentic. I hate lip service. I
know.
hate anything like that.
Yeah.
So me pretending or choosing to be something else felt fake.
Yeah.
And I hate that more than
Yeah.
anything.
Yeah.
Lying, essentially.
It feels like lying.
Right? And I
Yeah.
hate that. So, but it worked. It worked for me to some degree. I think I got better. Like I feel like I have been better.
You're more yourself, for sure.
I think so.
Yeah. You'll probably have things like McKenna graduating that's gonna,
Totally.
I think my doctor once described it like I mean, I don't like the term nervous breakdown. I think that's kind of derogatory. Like, oh, she had a nervous breakdown. But once you have something happen that sends you over the edge with your nervous
When
system,
you break,
you literally break. Your nervous
Yes.
system is broken.
Yes.
He says that sometimes it just takes that needs to literally heal.
Right.
It's like having a broken leg. Like you
Right.
have to heal your nervous system.
Yeah.
And that can take time. People use meds to help heal it, but it needs to heal, period. Like
Right.
you can't power through that.
Yeah.
Like you have to take the time, do the work, heal, but it's gonna be tender forever.
Sure.
Like you poke at that, you're gonna feel it more.
Well, I'll still like be talking because I do talk to people about it now, and quite often I get teary right away. Like
Yeah,
I feel it in my throat right away. Like I go
Yeah.
right back there immediately, right? Like it's still very raw.
Yeah, like the wound is healing, but it's there.
Yeah.
You can see it.
I can walk on the broken leg, but it's not fully healed. It hurts a
Yeah.
little bit to walk on
Yeah,
it
yeah,
still,
totally.
right?
And it could re-injure very quickly.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes I need a crutch,
Yeah.
but
Do you
we're getting
find
there.
like do you do things every day to choose joy? Like are you being
No.
mindful, or is
Oh,
it more
no.
of just like a decision you've made and this is your decision?
Yeah, I don't think I choose it every day.
Well, no, who does?
I just think I don't even know ever since I've had that moment if I've on purpose chosen it. It was
Has
almost
been
like
a conscious.
yeah, I think I just knew I had to
Right.
be different, and
Right.
from that I've just I don't know. I like to think I've been different. I don't know.
Oh, it's been night and day.
Yeah.
Like it literally feels as if I have you back. Not to make it about me, but it's
No,
been a
it's-
huge
that's-
relief.
Interesting.
But also, I don't ever want you to feel pressured to be someone you're not. Like, oh, thank God you're back to yourself.
Right.
Oh, phew. Don't want to go through that again, because
Yeah.
that's not life.
But I don't. I would never feel that type of pressure
Yeah,
either.
'cause-
That's just not my.
I mean, heaven forbid you do go through it again, but we don't know what's going to happen in life,
Totally.
right? But
Oh, chances are something will trigger something again in life, and I mean,
Oh, yeah.
we're also going through like perimenopausal, like
Oh my
menopause.
goodness,
Add
that's
that in there,
yeah,
right? And
well, that could be a whole other
yeah,
podcast.
I didn't exactly, but I just didn't realize even those symptoms and stuff how much that actually adds to things. Like I
Oh,
thought
yeah.
a lot of it was just me, and I've also realized now. Oh no, maybe I am at that. I didn't know if I was too young for that. I know everybody goes through it at different times, but definitely contributed to it for sure.
Yeah, I had a friend text me the other day, naming a few things. I'm like, oh, that sounds like perimenopause. She's like, I don't, that's, or I said, that sounds like menopause.
Right.
And she's like, oh, I don't think that we're like old enough for that. So I took like a screenshot of like what ages that starts.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, so I'm not losing my mind. I'm like, you're not losing your mind.
I know.
Like it's completely.
It's crazy. Like, yeah, you actually think
Yeah.
you're losing your mind. And you hate everybody. It probably had actually quite a bit to do with it, to be honest with you.
You think so?
Thinking back now, yeah. Without knowing though, like now I've kind of looked into those symptoms and stuff, and I'm like, oh,
Right. Yeah.
Not
Yeah.
like, and again though, I don't want to use that as a crutch either. Like
I know
it is
you
what
don't.
it
I
is.
know
Yeah.
you don't. You hate
Yeah.
blaming things
Yeah,
on things. Like but
totally.
that's ridiculous. Like people who have concussions and brain injuries have symptoms from that brain injury.
Yeah.
It's going on in your body. It's going to have reaction. You're going to have a reaction to it.
Yeah, I just don't
It's a
like
reason.
things ruling me.
I know you don't. No.
Yeah,
no, I know you don't.
No,
Or like being, I don't know, even like I mean, if you're comfortable talking about this, like you're a little stubborn when it comes to medicating.
100%.
Yeah.
I'm stubborn with medication. I will go off and on of it. That's not even a word. I will go off and on all the time because I hate that I have to take something to make me chill. Or I'm like, just pull up your big girl panties,
Right.
get over yourself,
Right.
and get on with life. Like that's my approach to it. Where I realize now I just can't do that
No.
because people pay for it. Like I know when I've been off for a couple months, I'll start seeing it in myself, and I'm like, no,
Yeah.
no. So now we're done playing that game that I've played for like 6 or 7 years, where I go off all
Thinking
the time,
like,
thinking
okay, I'm
I got
good
this
now?
now. Yeah,
No, it's it has to just be part of
it is.
your life now.
I'm starting to accept it. I just hate it.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
No, I get it.
I know some people don't give a crap about stuff like that. They're like, I'll take a pill, no problem. Like, I don't even want to take a pill for like a headache.
Right.
I'll figure it out.
Right. You're fine.
I got this. Like,
You're
we
good over
good.
it.
We good. Who can't handle a little pain in their head sometimes? Like, get over yourself. You're fine. No Tylenol.
Do you find that you're more sympathetic now when you hear people talk about anxiety and stuff?
I don't know about sympathetic because I feel like I was sympathetic to it before. I just relate to it now. I know.
More empathetic.
Empathetic. That is it. Yes.
Right.
100%. 100%.
Right. I think it's hard to describe, like, because you hear the word all the time. Like people are anxious, they have anxiety, and
Right.
it's very easy to be like, yeah, that's normal. Of course you're nervous before that, or of course you're like, it's life. But I don't think people understand like
There's a difference between nerves and anxiety too, right? Yeah.
or even just having an off few days. Like
Right.
like when you actually have anxiety, it's crippling. You wake up just feeling like an engine is revving in your brain, and there's nowhere for that to go. It's
Totally.
it's torture.
Yeah.
It's torture.
I definitely. Yeah, I'll talk about this. In the last couple years, I've decided I will use marijuana for certain
we're
things.
going-
We're
we're
gonna go
go
there.
there.
Might
We're
as well.
going there.
Might as
Okay,
well.
yeah.
Like, I don't care anymore about it. It's legal now. I'm good. That was my big stigma with it before. Again,
That was the only thing that would have stopped you from doing it. Is that it's
yeah,
illegal?
I'm very like rule.
You are
orientated.
I was thinking
right?
about that to say how we're both rule followers.
Very much
Yeah.
rule followers. So the fact that it was illegal, I was like, no, there's no way. Like, I get mad at my kids if they're like suggesting they might have a drink at 17.
Right.
It's not about
It's
drinking.
illegal.
It's illegal.
It's
You're
illegal.
breaking the law. That's what pisses me off. It's dumb. But what the reason I actually even started, it was actually before it was
Yeah,
legal.
But it was medicinally.
It was medicinal,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, with Crohn's disease, I went on medication on infusions, and with the infusions, you can get other autoimmune diseases because it's taking care of one, and kind of another will come. So I got arthritis really, really bad in my back and my feet, and so I couldn't sleep. My doctor suggested it to me. I said no because it's illegal, and it was
Yeah.
a drug.
Totally, it's a drug. It's the gateway drug, no less.
Exactly.
It's you're gonna do heroin
And
next.
obvious meth. I'm a meth head. Yeah. And so he gave me a prescription for painkillers instead. And when I looked into the prescription, I got it and I started using it. It was a low dose chemotherapy. And I was like, that is ridiculous that I'm willing to put low dose chemo in my body as
Right.
opposed to
I didn't realize it was a
marijuana.
low dose chemo.
Yeah.
You've never told me that.
Oh, really? Yeah. So that's what made me switch. And Kyle was like, are you kidding me? Why would you not
Yeah.
use the other as? So it wasn't legal at the time, but if you had prescription with like,
Yeah.
because I have a prescription for the Remicade, if you took that into dispensary, they would automatically, you could be on the list. It
Right.
was considered medicinal. It was very shortly after that it became legal, and then there was no issue at all. So anyway, long story short, definitely used that during my anxiety as well.
And it helped or no?
Yes and no, I want to say, right? Like sometimes, yes, because it would chill me out, but then I would also use it as an escape.
Yeah.
Right? Which is never what I would ever
You have
want
to
to use
process.
it for. Yeah,
Yeah.
like you can't just be numb and sleepy, right?
Oh
Like,
yeah, you're not. It's not moving through your brain. Then it has
Right.
to move through your brain.
Right.
You're just
right.
stalling it.
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah.
Not ever dealing with the problem. You're just numbing. So, but I will say it definitely helped. Like I'm actually also shocked at how many people actually do use it. Like I've been
Yeah.
blown away with
Yeah.
once I start talking about it, other people are like, oh yeah. I even found out like friends that have been doing it for years and years and years. And I had no idea because no one ever talked about
one
it. And
talks
again,
about
it's
it.
like, it's weed. Like, let's chill out. It's actually not that big a deal, but like it was such a big deal to me
Well,
because it was illegal.
And it's interesting. I always say it's interesting. Everything to me is interesting.
You're just interested
I'm
in
such
life.
an interested person. If you said I have 3 glasses of wine every night before
Right.
bed, people are like, oh, that's nice. She's
Yeah.
unwinding.
Yeah.
If you said I have a couple
I smoke a joint or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
a couple puffs of a joint. I know I'm using lame person language.
They're called pulls, Vicky.
a couple pulls on a joint.
Pulls off my vape.
Back then, it would have been like, okay,
She's a drug user.
She's a drug user.
Yeah.
Okay.
Meanwhile, we'll
Someone
take,
else is getting hammered on wine every night.
or a Percocet or whatever, like a
Yeah.
painkiller and all
Yeah,
that. Like
totally.
that's okay. It's
Yeah.
prescribed.
It's
It's
just a
fine.
stigma.
It's totally a
Yeah.
stigma, and it's but it's so funny because so many people in my life now, because I'm open about it, they're like, oh, maybe I'll just try that. I'm like, you totally should try
Yeah.
that. Like, it's been helpful.
Yeah. Well, I'm glad that helped you.
It did help.
We'll have to cut out my mind.
Because now you're like drugs.
Drugs.
Velvet does drugs.
And everybody in your life knows that you
Do drugs?
do drugs
They do.
and don't care.
Nope.
You know what though? I mean, why?
And I don't care if they care
There's
either.
no reason why you should care anyways. That's an absolutely ridiculous. It's just
When I explained it to people that I thought would care about it, when I explained it, hey, I was on low dose chemo,
Yeah.
I'm doing this instead. It was like, well, obviously you would do that instead of low dose chemo. Like it's a no brainer,
Yeah.
right? When you say, again, it's a drug's a drug, right? Whether it's a pill or not, like weed,
did it
whatever.
help the arthritis in your
Yes, I could sleep. And
Yeah.
then eventually that just went away. Like the arthritis eventually
just calm down?
yeah, it chilled out. I don't have it at all
Yeah.
anymore. Now I just whatever the infusions just take care of what it needs to take care of. But
But you're not still doing the infusions, are you?
I technically yes, I haven't in the last couple months
Oh,
because
but-
there's been paperwork issues.
Different,
but yeah.
big story.
Yeah.
big long story.
Yeah,
we won't
that's
get into
not.
it.
It's boring anyway. But
Yeah, no one
yes,
wants to know
Yes,
about
I'm
that.
still
Okay.
infused.
You're still infused.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So, back to the anxiety then. Would you? Okay. So, like, let's say if you had a friend that was going through what you went through. I was thinking, let's say if it was me.
Yeah.
Would you have reacted any different than how I did to that, or do you think you would have?
I didn't think anyone knew I was going through it.
Oh, you didn't.
No. Like when you said that today, I didn't.
You had
didn't
no
tell
idea that I
no.
knew that you were going through it.
No, I mean I knew you did because I've talked to you about it.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that you knew in
At
the
the
moment.
time, yes,
No.
I did. Yeah, I for sure.
I thought I was hidden by the COVID. No one's
Right.
leaving their house type thing.
Right.
No one's going to notice because no one's leaving their house anyway.
Has anyone else told you that they noticed that you went through it?
No. No.
Well, I mean, I could have. I did know that you had a bit of a.
Yes, I shared that I had a bit of a meltdown.
Yeah, and I think it's just obvious in your in the way you were.
And I didn't think I was all.
Yeah.
I thought I was hiding it so good.
No, you weren't hiding it at all. Awesome. Okay, but let's say you think that you would have picked it up with me.
Yeah.
You think, yeah. So how do you think you would have responded?
I would have showed up at your door.
You think you wish I would have showed up at your door?
No, that's not not me. But I feel like that's more you.
You would have wanted me. You think
like I feel like I could come to your house and just talk it out with you. Not talk it out, but like be like that. Whereas I don't think that would have done anything. Like, even, yeah, no, I don't think it would have done anything for me. Because it was, I don't know. But I feel like I would, again, because I'm quality time is my love language.
Right.
I also like to give that would just, my natural thing to do would be like, let's talk it out. You'd have to like literally be like, I don't want to talk about it. And then I'd let it go. But I would initially definitely try and.
Would you have done that for me because you thought that that's what I needed, or because that's what you needed?
I didn't need that though.
No, but like, let's say if I'm pulling away, I'm obviously something's going on with me.
Yeah.
Would you feel the need to connect with me in conversation because I was so pulled away?
Yes.
You would.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I'm the talker, right? I'm the one that's what I do.
Right. And
because I feel like I also could share. I've been there. I get it. There is, it will get better.
Right.
Like, yeah. Been there, done that type.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe just had some insight on it where.
Yeah.
I don't know anyone in my life really that's ever had like a full on breakdown that'd be willing to share with me about it.
And you would call it a full on breakdown?
Yeah.
Right.
I realized it was a full on breakdown when the grocery store stuff started happening.
And you just couldn't pull yourself together. Yeah.
Because I am not into public. I don't want to be noticed. Don't look at me. Like I'm not that.
Who you are
I'm not
all.
attention seeking like that. So the fact that and I was like, at that point, it was Kyle was like, you have to leave the house. I'll come with you, but you actually have to leave the house a bit. Like you have to.
Yeah.
So he'd come with me, and then like I can't leave. I'm crying in the potatoes right now.
Right. You're crying. You're crying over the yogurt.
It was the potatoes for sure. We were in the veggie aisle, and I don't know. I don't even know what triggered it, but something triggered it by the potatoes, and that was it. Like I just had to have a moment.
Do you wish that you would have handled anything different during that time? Like done something different to move you through it quicker? Like, do you have any regret as to how you handled that whole thing? Or do you think it just needed to play out like it played out?
I probably could have let people in sooner.
Yeah.
But again, that's not me. I think I can figure it out on my own.
Right.
Or
you were embarrassed and didn't want to talk about it?
Depending on the person. I would never be embarrassed about it with someone like you.
Right.
Some people, yeah, I'd be like, I'm crying in the potatoes.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like everyone in life has had a crying in the potatoes moment. The difference is that you just couldn't stop crying in the potatoes.
That's right.
Like the next day you're crying in the yogurt, next day you're crying in the...
I didn't go back to the grocery store for a little bit. Yeah, like there was no point. Have you ever had a moment where you were like that overwhelmed? Where you...
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Where I just could not pull it together.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I can relate to the feeling because I just had a day and one of those things where everything is building up and you can feel it. Like you can feel it when you've had a couple weeks or whatever. And I just started crying. I was out for dinner with Ryan. I can laugh about it now. I could not stop crying. Like he's sitting with me and I am just crying. And I'm not talking like a little pretty tear. Like I'm bawling. Like the waitress is taking our order and I'm crying. Well, like I couldn't pull it together.
He's like, she just really likes Earls.
She's
so excited to be here.
She's so excited about the menu. No, I don't know. It was just the perfect storm, I suppose.
Yeah.
And I lost it. I cannot imagine going through that for as long as I can't even imagine. Because for me, it was that day. I lost it. I broke that day. Mm-hmm. I very quickly started recovering from that and started feeling good shortly after. And I for sure, like, I started having anxiety probably in my... What started it with me is me and you started a store called Fancy Pants. It was a consignment store.
Mm-hmm. Children's consignment
consignment
Super cute.
store.
Yes.
So cute. The last couple years of that store was unbelievably stressful. Like it was just awful. And then having to, I closed it, making the decision to close it, it just threw me for a loop. Like I was like a mess during that whole time. Like,
I have so much guilt
oh really?
over fancy pants.
Really?
Like immense amount of guilt.
Why?
Because I walked away.
Yeah.
Because I had another kid.
Yeah.
And I have so much guilt over that to this day.
Yeah.
Like I abandoned you.
I have guilt over it for other reasons.
Like what?
Like just with my parents, like buying you out. Like I feel guilty
I know
about
it.
that.
I don't feel guilty about that.
Yeah.
Like
It's my biggest regret in life.
opening fancy pants?
No.
Oh.
Well, yeah, actually, yeah. Because we talked briefly, like not on here, but like what our big, like what life regrets we had, and fancy pants, I think, is it. Because it started something in me that I have never quite been able to stop. It started having like being anxious and feeling triggered and feeling almost post-traumatic. Because I don't have any resentment towards you at all.
Are you sure?
Not even a little bit.
Really?
No resentment. No.
See, I feel like you should.
I don't hang on to things. Like I don't.
Did you?
The only time I felt a little resentful, I think, is when I think it was just our communication back then wasn't as good as it is now.
Right.
So like I remember one day I spent the day like we used to have this back room that used to get packed to the ceiling with donations.
Yeah.
Like just packed to the ceiling. And oh my gosh, I worked my ass off that day and I got so much of it down. Like I was just like putting things out, like whatever. Mm-hmm. All I did all day. You came to take over the shift and you were visibly pissed that the store wasn't swept. Like you just grabbed a broom and just started like sweeping angrily.
Awesome.
Like you were just mad, right?
Yeah.
I mean, now I would have been like calm down.
Like, cool
like,
your
why
jets.
are
Yeah.
you so mad
Chill
about
out.
this?
Yeah.
But it was just me being younger, you being younger. I think stuff like that sometimes I was a little bit resentful for. I'm like, she doesn't see like I was working so hard today and she's pissed about the store, the
Totally.
floor.
Yeah.
But then it's like, I mean, I could have used my words as well, right?
Or I just could have not been such an ass.
Whatever.
That's also a thing.
I'm sure I'm not perfect either. I'm sure I was maybe neglecting certain things that was frustrating you, or like you just were focused on different things. Like I'm not claiming that I was like such a hard worker. It's just,
well, I know you're not.
It's just learning how to communicate, right?
Yeah.
And just being younger, like way younger.
Yeah.
So I think things like that would frustrate me a little bit when I felt like, we weren't connecting or we weren't really getting each other.
It was a weird time in our lives, I feel, though, too. There's so much other extra stuff.
Oh, it was a rough time for both of us.
Yeah, that was a weird time in both our lives.
Yeah, there's a lot of personal issues going on. And it wasn't even
and
like...
intermingled stuff, too.
Oh, it was messy and it was ugly.
Messy. Yeah.
So, yeah. And I didn't walk away from anything feeling resentful for... I'm not that person. I don't...
No, I know. I feel like you should.
No. Oh,
like,
no.
I'd feel better if you did resent me.
Really?
Yes. I have so much guilt over it.
Yeah. It started for sure, like, once I took it over by myself, it was, it was crippling.
Yeah.
The store always paid for itself.
Totally.
It wasn't
totally.
like,
it wasn't a financial burden or
no,
anything.
but it started where then Facebook kicked in and people started selling their
Marketplace
good
yeah.
stuff
Yeah,
on Facebook. Like not even on marketplaces. Like
right. Yeah.
So I wasn't getting as good of stuff anymore, which was really stressful. And then just like I wanted out of the lease. So they're like, okay, well, we'll find someone to take over the lease. But then I had to pay like 3 months lease.
Right.
So that was like, I don't know. I don't remember what our lease was, but I remember having like a $4,000 or $5,000 bill, that I had to pay out of my own pocket to get out of the lease. And I didn't have to do that. I could have but I wasn't making, I was making money, but it wasn't worth it anymore.
Yeah.
It was enough to pay my sister to run it. That was basically it.
Yeah.
And just like the day to day, like, oh my gosh, like, am I going to make enough today to cover the bills? Right. It was just that daily stress. It was overwhelming. It was too much.
Yeah.
And then even just like the whole closing process, right? Like I put it on Facebook, like, okay, I'm closing, come pick up your consignment. There's a note on the door. I still had like people messaging me, like accusing me of like stealing their stuff.
Oh
like it was awful. It was so stressful. And even like the whole like the guilt of having that extra financial burden for me and Ryan. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
didn't even I don't even think he knew. Like, I had
Right.
a credit card bill that I paid off so slow, like $25 a month for probably 5 years after, just to
giving me anxiety.
Yeah, it was. See what I mean? Though, like, it was.
No, guilt anxiety.
Oh, no. I chose. I could have said to you in that moment, no, I'm not doing this alone. So we have
Right.
to make a decision about this.
Yeah, but you would never have done that.
And I also chose to renew the lease. I could have said, I'm not going to renew the lease, because the lease came up.
Okay.
I chose to renew it. That wasn't your choice. That was
Right.
my choice. So that's on me. I gave it a go. I could have been like, no, Velvet's not in this anymore. I don't feel like I can do it alone. At that point, everything was great.
Yeah.
There was no reason why I couldn't have kept going. It just kind of unraveled, and it started this, like, it was so bad. Like, I, a year and a half later, I got something in the mail addressed for Fancy Pants, and I started to like cry, because I was like, what is this going to say? Like,
Right.
what, like,
What are they coming after me for
Yeah,
at this
yeah.
point? Yeah.
it was awful. So it took me probably like maybe 5 years to completely not get like triggered by hearing Fancy Pants. Like,
Word fancy. Never say fancy around
never say it around
Vicky.
me.
Or
Oh,
pants.
it was just, I think, and a lot of that for me was guilt. Like, I felt like I had slowed down me and Ryan's, like, us financially. I felt like I had
Right.
like slowed that down. This was like a complete burden on us. Feel guilty because it took time away from my kids.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, so much guilt and regret over that. And I think that's the thing about it. Like, looking back, I'd like to say, you know what? We tried. I tried.
Totally.
I put myself out there. I tried to make something successful. It failed.
It didn't
but
fail.
did it?
It didn't fail. You closed it down.
I closed it. In my mind, it feels like a failure, and that's really
Right.
hard. Like, I'm hard on myself with that kind of stuff. I would have loved it to have been
A
hugely,
franchise.
Yeah. Franchise, the Fancy Pants franchise.
My uncle actually suggested that.
Yeah. And Facebook does.
Yeah, it
Facebook
ruined it. Yeah.
ruined the other one in
Yeah.
town too. That one closed down too.
100%. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't feel like it was my fault or anything. I don't own that. But yeah. But it for sure started. It was the first time I ever felt true anxiety.
Right.
Like, oh, okay, this is what people are talking about, where you just can't get it. You can't get it together.
Yeah.
You're overreacting to things. I was miserable. Like,
I barely have. It's so weird because I don't really even remember. I must have just really been going through it. And again, I had another kid. So I just don't remember those years after I left. Like, I couldn't even tell you. I just don't remember.
yeah, it was
a lot. Those years were a lot.
Yeah. And I think also too is like looking back at yourself and just giving yourself some grace. Like, I'm so hard on myself.
Right.
Like, I was doing the best I could with what I had at the time.
I mean, like, okay, I think our oldest went into 4-year-old preschool
Yeah.
while we were there. Like,
Yeah.
that was a lot. Like, they were young.
Yeah. My son was only, when we started it, my son was like maybe 6 months old.
Right. Yeah, and McKenna
Yeah.
would have been like a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I ended up having another one after that.
Yeah.
But yeah. Yeah, we were in the thick of it in
Yeah.
our lives even at that point, right? Just like with our young children. And
I think it was a good idea. I just wish that we would have started it earlier. I think it was a good idea too late.
you mentioned to me the other day actually how, because I was fizzled out this last week, how like I go like so hardcore into something and then I just kind of like
Yep.
don't, and I didn't realize that till you said
Really?
it. That was the first time I
Yeah.
realized, because you said something about Fancy Pants then too, and I was like,
Yeah.
oh, I totally
You
do
go
that.
hard on things.
I go like 110% to the point where I think I overwhelm myself,
You
and that's
do.
why I have to just be
Yeah.
like, breathe.
Yeah. And then
Chill out.
you come down, like your energy comes down.
Part of it is because I think I'm not very patient. I want it to happen now,
Right, yeah.
Like I just want it, like, let's do it all right now.
Right. How it has to happen today.
Totally. Even with conversations with people and stuff, or even like dealing with things with my kids, I'm like, I want to. Let's deal with this right now. But not everybody is like that or can operate like that,
No.
right? So I have to like. I just
Everything
need
in
to chill.
its time.
Yeah.
I know, but something to be said about it too. Like, I feel with Fancy Pants, I feel like we were a super combination. Like, I remember like you were more like creative, putting things together, getting things done, and I wrote the business plan.
Yeah. I think we're a good team.
Yeah.
I need to not be crazy, maybe.
Yeah, it's just, I don't think it's crazy. I just think it's how your brain works, and that's
Yeah.
fine. It's just being self-aware.
Yeah.
Like, okay, this is my creative, like tap into it while it's going. I'm feeling creative, I'm feeling passionate. But then when you fizzle out, just, okay, now I'm going to rest.
Yeah,
I'm just going to
breathe.
breathe,
Yeah.
sit with this, let it stew. And then we'll jump back in again, right?
Well, at least again, you pointed it out in me and I was like, oh, I totally do that with
You go
everything
hard.
I do.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you recognizing that, because when you said that, you're like, no, you're having a moment. I'm good right now though. So let's, like last week, that's what you said. You're like, yeah,
I was
I can
super
tell.
dialed in.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I was, and then all of a sudden wasn't, and yeah, but you recognize it. And thanks,
Yeah.
Vic.
Well, maybe I just, having worked with you before.
Or just knowing me my whole
Well,
life.
no, but I don't, there's certain things that you only learn working with somebody on a business level.
That's fair.
You just learn it, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, fancy pants.
Yeah. Those were the days. We could have a whole podcast about fancy pants.
It's so weird. Even like people that come into my life or came into my life later, I would know them by their like code from fancy pants, like SCH, whatever.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
I to remember those people. I'm like, oh yeah, I used to consign at my store. But
I'll recognize people in town. I'm like, oh yeah, she was a consigner.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially now that like all those kids are generally like graduating and stuff too. So I'll have seen like those parents. I'm like, oh, that kid that you graduated with my kid is, oh, you're the mom that used to. It's a whole full circle.
I'm ultimately really proud of us. I think it was a really good story. I think we did really good. We didn't know what we were doing.
No, it was super just like, let's think about it one night, and then
It was
happened.
Yeah.
Kind of like a podcast.
I know. I feel bad too though, because during that time, Ryan had just started corrections, like just started it. So he like couldn't take any time off. He had nothing
Right.
banked. So like, it was literally Kyle doing everything, literally, and then us obviously too. But like, yeah. And again, Kyle's just a superstar, I guess. But
he loves. He's a helper. He
is a
loves
helper.
helping.
Yeah. He is a helper. Yeah, but I think fancy pants is my biggest regret. Do you have a big regret? Is it fancy pants a regret for you?
No, not at all. No, I would never put that on the list, which makes me sad that you have it on yours.
Maybe I'll process it and take it off eventually, but
Biggest regret.
I put you on the spot with this one. I apologize.
I wouldn't say it's my biggest regret, but one of my regrets for sure is not having a wedding.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah. And it's not like as I've gotten older, I've gotten over it, because the
Right.
thought of standing in front of people,
Yeah, right.
no, thank you.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that I've ever wanted to stand in front of people. So maybe that's why it was so easy for me to just be like, yeah, we're going to Mexico. Like, let's do this.
You're not a wait. You're a let's do it all at once person.
Hence the reason I was married after 6
Yeah.
months.
Yeah.
Like, started dating November, married in May.
You got excited. It all has to happen right now.
I have zero patience.
There's no way you would have had a 2-year
no.
engagement.
Well, and that's what the problem was not problem, but the situation at that time was, so after what, 2.5 months, we were engaged, which also is crazy because I was an infant.
Child bride.
Child bride. But at the time, for whatever reason, Kyle felt, and I understand why he felt this way. His little sister had just been in a really bad car accident and was paralyzed at that time.
Right.
His other sister was away at depot. She's RCMP.
Right.
And his thinking was, well, if not everybody can come, no one should be there.
Right.
Which I got, and I was down with. I mean, obviously, I was like, all right. So it was just us in Mexico when we got married.
didn't even
you were
invite
there.
people.
No, like
No.
nobody was there.
It wasn't like an open invitation. Come
no.
if you can.
And now I wish I would have been like, yeah, just invite everybody,
Everybody.
and the people that want to or can be there will be there for
Yeah.
sure, right? So yeah, again, I don't know if it's my biggest regret because the thought of standing in front of a whole bunch of people, but I just know, I think every girl has to have her day,
Yeah,
to some degree.
yeah.
And everybody's like, oh, then have a vow renewal and all that. I'm like, well, that's a lot. I think that's, no offense, I think it's cringe. I don't care.
Vow renewals.
Yeah,
I
I don't.
Vowel renewals.
Never renew your vows.
Never renew your vows.
I can appreciate when people do it, but I feel like it's a little cringe.
Apparently, it's a bad luck. People have
Really?
vow renewals and their marriages don't last.
Because they're having vowel renewals, not vow renewals.
They got it
Vow.
wrong. I said vow last time.
I think you said vowel again.
I didn't. I purposely said vow.
We're going to listen to that. We're going to listen to that back
Okay.
later. Kyle, could you listen to that real
Yeah.
quick? Let us know if she said vow or vowel.
vowel or
Thank
vow.
you.
You
Yeah.
did have a reception though.
Do you want to call it that?
It was a party. It was in the church gym.
I sang at my own reception.
You want to talk about cringe?
Singing at your own reception?
Yeah, it's a little cringe. Singing
So
at your own
bad.
reception is a little cringe.
So cringe, especially when it wasn't even my idea.
I don't remember sitting there thinking, oh, that's cringe. But in hindsight, for sure cringe.
I bet you did at the time.
Probably. I'm just being nice.
Yeah, I don't.
No,
do
I
that.
don't remember actually. I remember it being Mexico themed. Do you remember that?
Yeah, oh, I remember it. Of course.
Oh.
No. Oh, it was?
You wore your wedding dress.
I sure did.
And you did renew your vows. You said your vows.
I know. It was like 2 months after we got married, which is
did.
why I was so annoyed. I'm like, I just got married. That wasn't my choice.
No, I know that. Yeah. Would you have had like a reception kind of?
I wish we would have had a reception where we could have had a real party.
I think I like the idea of having like a elopement or whatever you want to call it, like a destination wedding, and then coming back and just having a party. I think that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
People don't care about that whole.
Yeah, no,
like,
they don't need to see you walk down the aisle. and all
yeah,
that.
right. Like I
totally.
think the party is a great idea. So in theory, it is a really, and then your friends get to see you, and you can just
I was just saying no. I was not in the mindset for that to happen. I didn't plan any of it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like it wasn't my thing. It wasn't what I would have done.
you definitely had the energy of I'm just showing up for this. That was your energy. Like
That's what happened though.
Yeah,
I
I know.
literally showed up. I remember looking down at my fingernails as I was walking into the gym, like down the aisle, and I had just like had bitten half of it off, and I was
Right.
like, I didn't even look at my nails
Yeah.
before I came today. Like I just
Yeah.
did not even care.
Yeah.
Just walked in with cruddy nails. Like didn't even take my nail polish off. Like that
Yeah.
would have even been better. I just had like just chipped
were you
nails
holding
everywhere.
A bouquet?
I sure was. Well, I didn't hold it like this. You
No,
mean-
I said like this. I didn't like go like that. I like holding a bouquet.
they were
People
lilies.
People do though hold lilies. And
That's
stuff.
too bad. They shouldn't.
People do.
I'm judging again.
So
I had a little like posy of flowers.
if that is the only regret you can think of, I'm very impressed.
I mean, that's what came off the top. I'm sure there's
Yeah.
others. I don't feel like I regret a lot in
No,
life.
I-
I'm not that type of person.
I'm so jealous of that.
Really?
I'm very much like
You regret a lot?
I beat myself up over things a lot.
Really?
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm like, oh, I shouldn't have done that, or that was dumb. That was a bad choice.
It's not very often that I feel that way. I always feel very justified in my
Yeah.
decisions. Like I feel like I think about them
Yeah.
long and hard, and whether I am actually justified or not, I don't know. But I like to think I'm justified in my decisions. I like to think, again, I feel like I'm kind of like wise,
Well,
and so my decision making is
right.
like logical.
I
and-
think sometimes though there's natural consequences of decisions that I couldn't have predicted. So I'm like, oh, I feel bad about that, or
Why would you feel bad about something you
because I have
couldn't
a
predict?
huge sense of responsibility. Like if a building collapsed across town, I will wonder if somehow that was my fault. And that's a stupid example, but
But, like, that type of,
I'm
like,
exaggerating
ridiculous-
it for
yeah.
on
On
purpose.
purpose,
Like
yeah.
I feel like I carry a lot of responsibility in my life.
Right.
So if something didn't go as it should, even if it's not directly correlated to me, I will feel like, what could I have done to have made that better? I feel very responsible for things.
Interesting.
And it's ridiculous. I completely get it.
Yeah.
But yeah, just a high sense of responsibility. Like I take on things I probably shouldn't, because I feel like, oh, maybe somehow if I help or contribute, it'll be okay.
Yeah. I know. I don't feel like I feel that way often.
Which is sometimes why I don't like volunteering for something, because I feel like, oh my goodness,
If you do
if I do,
something,
now
yeah.
I'll be running the whole thing the next year.
Oh.
Because I'll take it on, and I'll take it on
Right.
hard.
Right.
I can't just show up once and do a bit of whatever.
Right.
Like I can't show up for the soup kitchen and just do soup. I'm like, oh my goodness, I could totally make the soup next
Yeah.
time.
I'm making it.
I get super excited.
Then next year you'll be growing the vegetables
Yeah.
for the soup. Yeah.
And then I'll be doing admin for
Obviously.
because
It's
I
now
can do that. There's
you
no
totally
problem
can.
for me to do, and it really isn't a problem for me to do it. And then I take it on, and
Right.
it becomes from, and then before I know it, I own a soup kitchen.
Right.
So I'm
What
very
would you call that if you had a soup kitchen?
The V spot. V soup.
I don't think that's appropriate for
It's
a
not
soup kitchen,
appropriate.
but that's
But
okay.
I think the two of us are good at coming up with the names.
We are good.
Yeah.
Vicky was 100% responsible for the V spot.
You came up with fancy pants.
I did
though.
come up with fancy pants, but Vicky said the V spot, and I was like, oh, yes. Never, ever. I love. Do you know what I'm going to say?
I
I
know.
love it when you give me that look,
I
and you're
know.
like, I see
I
what. Okay,
know.
what was I going to say?
Have been happy about having a name that started with the letter
That's
V.
right. It never has ever
Yeah.
paid off ever in life until now.
Yeah. It's perfect.
It was fabulous. It was like a stroke of genius. Now,
Oh, that's nice.
apparently, I think her name is so amazing. Everybody else is like, yeah, it's mid. But, oh, speaking of mid, my kids are going to hate that I just said that.
I know. Who cares? Do they really hate it when you use
They hate it when I say, yeah.
Gen Z lingo?
Yeah.
Gen Z for the Americans listening.
Yeah, they do. I don't even do it on purpose. But anyway, sorry, kids. I just said mid.
I've told some people our name because we haven't told a lot of people about
No.
the podcast, but I've told some people our name and I've had mixed
You have?
reactions. Yeah, like I think it's so clever.
So clever.
So clever. And then some people are like, oh, haha. Like they're just, I feel
I
like I'm
think-
being
So sometimes I'll
placated a little.
say it. So, for instance, my neighbor, Carmen, who was
Right.
very excited about the V-spot.
Shout out Carmen.
Shout out Carmen. We love her. I felt like I had to explain it because I said the V spot, but she doesn't know your name is
Yeah.
Vicky. So to
So-
her, she's like, oh. And then I said,
Oh.
oh, her name is Vicky. Then it made sense,
Right.
right? But like just to hear the V spot, people are like, huh? You have to know
Right.
what our names are in order for that to make sense. 'Cause
Yeah.
otherwise, it's just like, what?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true.
And never say your V spot like I do
Never do
all
that.
the time.
I
It's
am
ridiculous.
So scared that editing is going to keep that in.
I kind of hope it does.
Really?
Welcome to your V
Ew,
spot.
that's so gross. Oh, I hate it. I hate it. I'm so that you know what? You asked
so
me if
cringe.
I resent you. That's what I resent you for, is saying that. Yes, I resent that. That was awful. That was a terrible
Isn't
thing
it?
to say.
Is it maybe just kind of sexy?
No, it's not.
Why?
Ew, it's gross.
Your V spot?
Yes.
Why? Why is the V spot okay then?
I think it's the you're involving other people suddenly. And it changes it just because really we're not trying to do any kind of sexual innuendo with the V spot.
Little-
Oh, you are
kind of a little bit. I mean, it's a
think
play on
as
words.
it's a play on words for
Yeah.
sure. But I don't think that we're like trying to be dirty with it.
Oh, definitely
Right.
not.
When you say your V spot, it's just it's taking it next level.
I know, I like it.
Yeah, I know you like it. That's okay. You're allowed to like
I
it.
have to stop doing it though. I haven't done it on purpose. That's literally just what flies out of my mouth. It's becoming a problem. I have to
Well,
get better at that.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Just be you. Just do you.
Edit. Bleep.
You're
Bleep
fine.
over me.
You're fine.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah.
What can you do? So back to anxiety.
Okay.
What would you say is a circumstance or that would get you in your most anxious moment? Like what triggers that for you the most? Is it like kid? Is it husband?
Right.
Is it
Oh, right. Yeah.
social? Is it like what's your trigger? Do you think?
I think this is stupid. I think my kids would say this is so dumb, but when I'm running late, and not that I'm so scared to be late, but it starts that chain of feelings with me. Like I'm late. Oh my goodness. Like, and then I'm starting to get angry because someone has made me late. And then I
Right.
feel like my day has started off in this like anxiety. Or the other one is just came to me. If I feel like I screwed up at work, that
Makes you anxious.
very anxious.
So it's all nothing to do with like it's all based on other people and what they're thinking
Oh.
or feeling.
Maybe. Yeah. Like if I feel like I've let someone down.
Right. So you're late for somebody else.
Yeah.
You have done something wrong
Yeah.
at work. It's all very
Yeah.
on what other people are going to think of you.
Or not even what they're going to think of me of, have I done something to negatively impact their day? Or
Okay.
yeah, so like if I feel like I've screwed up at work, if I've there's a double thing going on there, because if I feel like I've screwed up, I've let down the realtor and I've let down bosses.
Right.
Not that you guys are hard on anybody. You're painfully easygoing, to be honest with you. There's times where I feel like you probably should have come down a bit harder. Yeah, like I don't like letting people down. I don't like disappointing people. I like to do things right the first time.
Okay.
I don't like to make mistakes.
But it actually creates anxiety.
Very much so. Like my stomach starts to hurt, as I've told you
Wow.
before.
Yeah.
Like, yep, I start to not be, I can't stop thinking about it. I'm obsessing over it. I can't let it go until it's right or fixed.
Right.
I feel this obsessive need to talk about it, which that's new for me. Like, I feel like I have to just like break down with somebody what happened and why it happened, and
Like more of a justification to
yeah,
yourself.
like,
as,
or like, okay, I have to like reason with myself. This is not my fault. This was out of my control.
Right.
This happens. I am human. This is like, I have to really just talk myself.
Well, that's good that you can at least do that.
Yeah, but I mean, I haven't always been able to do that.
No, but like
yeah.
we've learned that because everything you were saying, and I know we've talked about this 100 times, but like that is Brooklyn to a T as
Yes,
well. Like what you're
I
explaining is
know.
how she processes and how she,
Yeah.
where her anxiety would come from
Yeah.
too. Probably it's just so interesting that it's very different from me, obviously.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I have a huge fear of letting people down. I don't want to disappoint
Right.
people. Like I want people in my life ultimately to be happy, and so
Yeah.
if I feel like I've done something to take away from that, I have a very difficult time with it.
wonder if it means I'm like not a good human, that really doesn't bother me
No.
that much. Like
No, I think it's healthier.
I obviously, if I upset someone, I'm upset. Like I don't ever want to hurt anyone's feelings, but I would never to the point of anxiety.
Right.
It would never get me that hard. Like I would, again, I feel like a lot of those moments and stuff have happened and will happen because I feel like I've thought it out already in my head, and it's just a natural thing that's going to be happening now.
Yeah.
Like even, I don't know. I don't think I'm afraid to hurt people's feelings.
Right.
Justly, like not just to hurt their feelings, but like if I have to talk to you about something, bring something up, I don't have a problem if that's going to hurt your feelings if
No.
we need to talk about it.
I don't feel that way either. Like
Okay.
I don't have a fear of having a hard conversation or
No, but you put it on yourself then. Like you're afraid of other people's
no, it really comes down to if let's say, I'll just use work as an example. If I screwed up at work and we lost a very big client over it or whatever, or so I did something and it cost the company $500, it's not like I would just feel so bad and so guilty. And it's not just because we're friends.
Right.
If I was at my old job, I would have felt the exact
Yeah.
same way.
Yeah.
I would feel like, why am I at this job? I'm obviously no good at it. Like
Right.
this is a huge mistake. Like they obviously are not going to be happy with me. I just feel the sense of responsibility to such a high degree that I can't let it
Right.
go.
Right.
Where everybody makes mistakes.
Absolutely.
Everybody does. And I
Yeah.
have to keep reminding myself of
Yeah.
that. So it's not, if I have to have a hard conversation with somebody or let somebody down, if I've thought about it and it's a decision I've made to have this conversation, or I know that what I say is going to upset them, but it's okay because it has to be said,
Right.
and they don't like me because of it,
Right.
don't care. It's not about being liked.
Yeah.
It's about disappointing people that I care about or
Right.
something that I care about. I don't want to disappoint people.
Right.
But again, it comes down to responsibility. I feel a huge sense of responsibility for things that aren't my responsibility.
Right. Yeah.
Like someone's happiness is not my responsibility. Like
Totally.
and also just being easier on myself. Like I'm gonna make mistakes. I'm human. But and I sense it. Brooklyn's very similar.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. You guys need to like, she needs to like come to Auntie Vicky for like therapy.
Yeah.
'cause you
We can powwow. I totally get her. Yeah, I was like, even her when I'm stressed or overwhelmed or anxious, I zone out. I'm not present. I'm thinking about everything else, and that's when I make mistakes.
I was gonna say, and then you start making,
Yeah.
and that's very much her. You said to me the
Yeah.
one day too. Something had gone on, and she was running out the door last minute, and you're like, just make sure she knows it's
Yeah.
fine. Like
Yeah.
it's
No one knows that
chill.
she's
no one's
late.
late.
No.
It's fine. It's
Yeah.
fine, because you knew she'd just be like
Yeah.
rattled and do something
Yeah.
random when she was actually at work.
Yeah.
Then, right? So,
Yeah.
and I just don't operate that way in my head. We're just, very different. But
Yeah. What triggers you these days?
my anxiety.
Yeah. Like if you're gonna do you avoid things that you know are gonna trigger you?
I just avoid everything still to
Right.
some
You're
degree.
still protecting.
I'm still
You're
I'm
cocooning.
definitely
You're
still
cocooning.
cocooning. 100%.
Yeah.
Definitely. I'm still, I feel in some ways I'm happier like that though. Like just not.
Yeah.
I feel bad though in some regards because I feel like, especially when it comes to like my mom, my sister, I think they just think I'm not conversing with them. Not like I feel bad to those people in my life because
Right.
I'm not cutting you out. And I know technically I should be reaching out. I'm just not there yet.
No, I understand
Like
that.
I'm not ready for these full on relationships.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I don't have room.
The capacity.
I don't.
Right.
I really don't
Which-
still.
It's good that you're self-aware though.
I am now.
I think I'd be
yeah.
worried if you were just throwing yourself back out there and like
Right.
living your life the way you used to, like being
Yeah.
super social. I'd be like, oh my goodness, like you're setting yourself up for a crash.
I have to look slowly though. We were at your house a couple weekends ago and there was a couple that I didn't know and then a couple that I did know that were going to be there, and all day I was like, why am I so freaking anxious all
Right.
day? And that's what it was. There's like I was meeting new people. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to get out more clearly because
Yeah.
the thought of meeting someone new was giving me anxiety, which is dumb because why like
Lots of people have that though. It's just
but
new
I
for
never
you.
used
It's
to.
new for
Yeah,
you.
that was
Yeah.
not. I don't ever love being out in like big groups and socializing and stuff, but like that type of thing, just where I should be comfortable. I'm at your house with other people
Yeah.
that I know, and there's another couple there.
You know, like 75% of the people.
Exactly.
there,
Like there's
yeah.
no reason why I should ever. And the people that I am meeting know so much about me already. I know about
Yeah,
them. Like it
yeah,
was like
yeah.
someone that
So many mutuals.
totally right. It was a non-issue, but all day I was like, what the heck is wrong?
You just
with
get
me
into
all
your
day?
head
I was
about it.
so anxious about it. It
Yeah.
was so ridiculous. Like,
You're just in that fragile.
but why? It's not. I don't even care if they like me. You know what I mean? Like, why would I be anxious about that? It makes no difference
I don't
to me
think
at all.
it's a front of your brain conscious thing. I think it's like back of your brain. Something's
Yeah.
going on back there, and that's just kind of what's making it
Yeah.
come out. Like I'm not really that worried about being late. It's letting people down. It's
Right.
It's feeling it's other things going on.
Yeah.
It's not about being late. No one, if I show up at your house 10 minutes late, like you're not losing sleep over that.
No.
You probably wouldn't even notice.
No.
It's something else is going on there. Like
You know what I did realize about being so I would say I'm quite often 5 to 15 minutes late. It's my thing, which I've realized as I got older I need to fix. But I hate it when people are late.
right.
But I have no problem being a couple minutes late. I don't know what that deal like. I need. What?
I would never peg you as a late person, ever. I would never in a million years have thought that you are a late person. I feel like you are an on-time person.
That blows my mind a little bit.
Yeah, I've never once would have been like, oh, Velvet, always late. I would never have ever
No,
said
but I
that
feel like
about
I'm
you.
always like 5 minutes later
No.
than that. Really?
If you are, I've never noticed that.
Really?
Yeah. I would never peg
Oh,
you
I'm
for a late
so
person.
self-conscious about it. So the fact
Really?
that you've never known, I
No.
feel so much better.
No.
Because I'm the type I just sit around to the very last minute because I know I have to do things. But I'm like, why would I do it yet? Because I'll do it. I want to do my makeup right before I leave or whatever.
Yeah.
And then I give myself 10 minutes and I should have given myself 20.
I definitely have you. I remember like even just like being like out with you like at a hotel or whatever. You were definitely a last minute person, but
Oh my
you
gosh,
freaking got there on time. You pulled it together you always did.
Yeah.
Like you were putting on your hair was wet and we had to leave in 10 minutes, but that hair was freaking dry and your makeup was on and we were out the door. So I've just always
Oh, okay.
I've never thought of
Well,
you
I
as
feel
late.
better now then.
I definitely a push it to the last minute person.
Yeah.
But never late. No.
Oh, okay, good.
Unless I've just never been in scenarios with you where I felt like you're on time for work.
Yeah.
Right. So you're on time when it matters.
It's more social situations
Yeah.
because again, I like wait to the last minute and then I'll be like, I always feel like I'm 5 minutes late. That's what I feel like.
Right.
But I also have this fear of being too early too. I
Yep.
don't want to be the first
No,
person
you
there either,
don't.
which is stupid because if I'm meeting like you and two other people, why would
Doesn't
I
matter.
care if I'm the? So I really don't care. But at the same time, I just feel like I'm the last one there all the time.
Yeah. Which is I don't think it's a huge deal.
All right, I'm not going to worry about it then.
No,
if
let
you
that-
didn't even notice that. Then
You need to let that go because
gonna.
I would have never pegged you as the always late person. I feel like you're very responsible with your time. Like I've traveled with you enough. We've never been like pushing it to get to an airport because
That's different.
I've never had to wait on you or like
trying to think if you've ever had to wait on me.
I don't think so.
Not in those situations, not at all. I just, like I said, for me to be like so like annoyed by people though, when I feel like I am, I'm like, why am I so? But we've had people in our lives where it's like 3 hours later, we're leaving 3 hours later
Yeah.
than we were supposed to leave for
Which
the
is
airport,
Disgusting.
which I really don't enjoy.
It's unacceptable.
That was a little bit more just about That was just rude.
Yeah.
To me. That's not
No,
appreciating
that's
other
like
people's
not,
time.
that's not 5 minutes. Yeah,
That's
not,
true,
you gotta let that one go.
I'm gonna.
Done.
No, it's gone.
Take it off your list of things
100%.
to worry about.
It was like a new like anxious thing I had coming up
Oh,
on me.
that's
So I'm good.
interesting. Oh, yeah.
I'm throwing that crap
Oh,
away because
that's not you at all.
good to know.
No.
Phew.
All right. That's it for me, I think.
Yeah. How are you feeling? Anxious? Or,
I'm not. No. None of my triggers. Unless I've let you down somehow tonight, I think I'm probably good. Have I let you down?
You haven't.
Okay,
You've
good.
anything but.
We'll definitely need to have more conversations, I think, about it, though. Because I did have a couple epiphanies through a couple of your questions.
Okay.
So I'll stew on it. Maybe we'll review. We'll have where we're at with things. Maybe in
I feel like it just is so multifaceted too. It goes
Yeah.
into so many different aspects of our lives and
Yeah.
comes in different. It plays a role in so many different topics, even right.
Yeah,
So
for sure.
we'll definitely come back to it. So, but if you want us to talk about something on the V Spot or your V Spot, shoot us an email. The vspotpod@gmail.com is where you can email us. We'd love to hear from you. Suggestions, critique. I know Vicky is not so into that one, but
I don't
want to
let you guys down. Don't critique, please.
It's okay. I'll read the critiques. I'll only let her know if it's something that we actually can work on. Don't be mean. Critiques
Ask questions, though.
Yeah,
love
ask
questions. We can do a Q&A.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Or like I said, suggestions, something you want to talk about, something that
do you want to be a guest?
Yes. Do you want to be a guest? Do you know somebody that would be a good guest?
Yeah.
That's fun. I love that.
Me too.
Going back, sidebarring, because it's my favorite thing to do. Speaking about Carmen again, she has a friend who is like
You talk about Carmen a lot. Carmen needs to
really
come
like
on.
Carmen.
Yeah,
I think Carmen will have to make an appearance
Yeah.
for sure. She's a good time. But she's got a friend who she's told about the podcast because she's excited, and she's a pelvic floor specialist, so she deals with like all things like women related issues during menopause. Like I'm like,
that's great.
Right? I think that's a good thing. So like, yeah, anything you think maybe you'd want to talk about with us, or I'd love to hear suggestions. I think we love to talk about just other people's
business.
No, no. Other people's stuff. I don't know. That was dumb. Or if you want to find us on TikTok, we have fun clips on there.
I'm still laughing at myself.
Of course you are. That's why I've moved on. You sit over there and laugh a little bit. The V Spot Pod on TikTok or the V Spot on TikTok. You can find us on either of those things. Instagram is the V Spot. Facebook, the V Spot. But again, the V Spot Pod @gmail.com is where you find us for some correspondence. But yeah.
All right. That's it.
Until next time.
Good talk.
Good
Bye.
times. Bye.